Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Friday night live stream. Give a few minutes for people to get in here and get started. Then I'll do announcements, and then we'll do our usual Q&A. Audio check whenever you guys get in while I move some stuff around here. So hopefully you guys had a good week. I know that Scott and I were pretty busy. We had a lot of stuff going on here in the fish room. So hopefully next week is just as busy. Let's see. Let's see here. Just going in, resetting that one. All right, good. Now we got people coming in. Turn the volume down. Now I don't have to hear an echo. All right, good. Audio check whenever. What's going on, Todd? Sounds good? All right, cool. All right. Audio is good. Scott is here. All right, so as you guys know, I mentioned over the couple live streams I did with Scott this week, which is something that I usually don't do. I usually don't do those types of live streams, but he was here and we figured we'd do a little bit of a bullshit session and kind of hang out. We did the printers, and then we were cutting frags yesterday, so it was pretty cool to do that stuff. I'm trying to do that at least once per week, something to that sort, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, yeah, so the 2020, or thank God 2020 is almost over sale, has officially started. As you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, there is a promo code you can use called SAVE10 at checkout. It will give you an additional 10% off. That's why I'm a little late. I went through and just dropped all the prices on every WYSIWYG that I have. And then, of course, the SPS is buy one, get one free and stuff like that. Now, the free coral will be added during shipping. It's not going to show up in your cart, but I will send it out when I fulfill the order, so check that out. Now, the code is good until midnight tonight, and that's it. So, you can either purchase during the live stream or after the live stream, and it's only good for another 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 3 hours. So, use it if you so choose. But anyway, so this is the weekly Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. Per usual, if no questions come in, then the stream ends. Just kind of how it is, standard procedure here. But other than that, it's been a pretty decent week. Scott and I went through and organized and cut up a ton of frags. We got the phytoplankton station cleaned up, which is something that I've needed to do for a while. Re-sanitized that whole setup and got it working again. Phytoplankton is out of stock temporarily just because we are growing it again. I mean, we still have a bunch of cultures of it, but I just want them to be a little bit darker before I put it back up. So if you want phytoplankton, go ahead and subscribe to that notice. And so if it'd probably be like 2 weeks before it actually ships. But so it's been pretty decent. We ended up finishing up all the printers, which you guys saw in the live stream there. It just took a long time. I mentioned this in the live stream as well. It's just tedious work. I don't buy the higher end printers. I like building my own. I like creating my own setup and having them be a specific way. So that's just kind of what I did there. So I'm going to give it another couple minutes, and then if no questions come in, I'm going to go play video games because I ain't sitting up here like a monkey. Let's see what we got going on here. Here we go. Well, it's not coming in on my other screen yet, but we'll see. Hi, I have a 13.5 gallon tank and I like stony coral. What do you recommend? Well, if you're just starting off with SPS corals, then I would consider some easy stuff. Bird's nest, Montiporas, Montipora digitatus, Monty caps, Stylophoras, Hydnophoras, Zoa. You probably already have Zoas. You're looking for stony stuff. Anything relatively easy SPS, and once you start growing those, you can move up to Acropora. But it's always best for your budget and for the sake of learning just to go with the easier SPS. So just go that route. How critical is Phyto for growing SPS? I don't think it is. I just put it in there for the sake of keeping the pods happy. And, I feel it does help with polyp extension to a certain extent, but I've grown plenty of SPS without phytoplankton, but I still put it in there. But it also helps boost my nutrients a little bit, which is nice. You guys know that I struggle with that with shipping coral. So it's nice to have it in there. I actually haven't dosed it in a couple weeks just because I've been selling so much of it. And then I just sold. I usually pour some out so I'm able to put some aside for myself while I'm fulfilling orders, but I forgot to do that. And then when I went to go do that, I didn't have any left. So, I don't have any for now, but it's not a big deal. Those shelves rock at all when printing? No, they don't. I think somebody, I don't know if that was you, Todd, who asked that before. No, they don't. They don't rock at all. Been growing phytoplankton for a while now. Any tips for culturing copepods? Just feed phytoplankton; they'll grow. What kit do you use to build your printers? I use a bone stock Ender 3 Pro, and then I buy a bunch of stuff from a few different vendors. I have a video briefly talking about what's on my printers. I'm not going to go into that here in this video. It'd take too long. What do you use for phytoplankton culture? I got some algae barn and don't seem to be growing well. My own culture. I don't share that with people either, unfortunately, Matt. Sorry. There's just certain things that I don't show you my phytoplankton station. I don't show you the procedures. I don't talk about the particular phyto where I got it from. I just it grows well for me, and I keep that stuff to myself. There is a few things that I don't share with the community for the purpose of being able to continue to make money. If I share everything, then you can do it yourself, right? So what's the point of coming over here? That's the truth. But reality, if you really want to do something in the hobby, everything that I do myself, if you really want to do it, you can simply spend the time doing the research, and you will, you'll be able to grow your own stuff and make your own NO3 and PO4. You just got to do the right research and do the proper testing to get the amounts correct. But if you truly want it, you'll do it. What test kits do you use for your tank? So I use when it comes to my salinity, I like to use the Milwaukee checker. I just call it the Milwaukee checker. It's the salinity. And then when it comes to alkalinity and phosphates, I'll use the Hanna checkers. Now I do have the Hanna checker temperature probe, which is pretty cool. I use that just for double checking to make sure my temperature's in the appropriate range. That's pretty cool. I do have a Hanna checker salinity tester, but I only got this so I can build a floating device for it. It's on my desk right here. I don't know if I'm going to use it or keep it, but other than that, I use the Red Sea for for nitrates. Phosphates is for Hanna checker, and magnesium, calcium is all Red Sea. Now I do have Salifert kits here. I do use Salifert for my potassium. But other than that, I'm pretty standard Red Sea Hanna checker kind of guy. What's the aquascape plans for the new tank? It's not going to be pillars. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm probably just going to do a spread out kind of, I don't know. It's going to be random. I'm basically going to get inside the tank over a week or so and just kind of create it. I have a general idea of what I want to look like. I know it's definitely not going to be pillars because I just can't handle the amount of coral that I've lost because of the pillars. I mean, it looks really great. Like the video in the background, that's when the tank looked pretty decent before. It was a few months before the overhaul. So it filled out quite a bit more before I finally took it down. But I really like the pillar look but it's just not a long-term solution. You can't really expect a tank to be up or an SPS tank to be up for years and years and years with a pillar look. I mean, I'm lucky I got 2 years out of it. And even then I quite didn't get 2 years. I took it down around a year and a half. So that sucks. But lessons learned. I'm just going to spread out the aquascape. A lot of swimming room. I was talking to Scott. I am considering keeping the Lamingi tang, but she's a big girl. You can ask him. I mean, she's a big, big fish. If I can build the aquascape in a way that is going to keep her happy and allow her to grow to her full potential, which is about 2 feet, and she's not going to be too far off from that. She's got about a foot to go, and actually less than a foot. She's not even counting her streamers. She's a pretty big girl. But I think it's a boy. I don't know. I have to check and see. I don't know if the females get the actual horn, but this fish or she has the horn, and her sweeper tentacles, or not sweeper tentacles, her fin ass tentacles are coming in. So, but yeah, we'll see. Well, it's gonna depend on how the aquascape how the layout is before I actually keep her. But if I actually keep her or not, but hopefully I can. I really don't want to get rid of her. But yeah. Hi, thanks for the great videos code. Do you dose nitrate and phosphate in your new saltwater before changing. No, I don't do that. I don't add nitrate. I don't add nitrates and phosphates to new salt water before I do water change. I wouldn't do that. Nope. I'm pretty sure that's what you mean to ask. Am I the only one getting the ring of death? The video keeps loading. I mean, obviously, I'm not seeing anything on my end. Hopefully, that works for you. I'll see if anybody else is seeing that. I don't see anybody saying anything. Hey, thanks, Matt. I appreciate the support. I just there's certain things I just don't share with the community, and it's nothing personal. Trust me. Oops. How much is too much to pay for a Chaeto ball? Well, I wouldn't pay more than $10. And I guess a softball. I used to sell softball size for about $10, but I mean, I think $10 is pretty decent. I mean, it's just macroalgae. It grows relatively quickly in most systems, exception of mine, at least for now. But yeah, I mean, $10, $15 max, man. I would not be doing no $20, $30. I see people on eBay trying to sell this stuff for like $30. I'm like, you're crazy, man. And then they want to put shipping on top of it. So yeah, $10 is what I sell it for, or well, used to sell it for, and will again at some point. What's up, Rogue? I got your email. I haven't read it yet, bud. I mean, it's a story of my life here. I'll get to it. Yes, 9/11. It is that day. I guess I could share that story. So I was in 7th grade. So when that all happened, I remember I was in Mr. Rice's class. He actually just passed away a few years ago. I was in his class, and then the whole 9/11 thing happened, and that was the day I decided to join the military. Was actually during that day I went up to him, and I remember saying, because he used to be a pretty big mentor to me, and I said, "Yep, going to join the military now." And even though you can have your own opinions on it and whatever. But I'm from a very small town, and that was the day I decided to join, and I did when I turned 18, and well, here we go, 33. So it's been a road, it's been a journey, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm a baby. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I don't feel like it, man. I fell asleep on the floor with a dog earlier because I was up really early. I was up at 3 o'clock this morning, wide awake, just straight wide awake at 3 a.m. and I went to bed at 11:30. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So Scott left at what, 3:30 yesterday, Scott, something like that. So we worked from 8 to 3:30. After he left, I came down here and worked to 11-ish, 11:30-ish, and then I went upstairs, crashed, woke up at 3, was wide awake, came back down here, started working again, trying to get printer orders caught up on the printers, and then I kind of racked out for about an hour in my chair down here. Last thing I remember is I was doing some editing. And then when I just woke up, my alarm went off on my watch. I was like, "Oh, well, great, it's 7:30." But then I had some lunch, and then lay down with the dog on the floor for a few minutes, and then I woke up 2 hours later. I was like, "All right." And then the point of the story is I tried to get up, even at 33 years old, laying on the floor. I tried to get up. I'm like, "Okay, not today, man, not today." My spine was like, "Nope." So God forbid if I ever did something that was other than laying on the floor, I'd probably be in some serious shit. But yeah, moving down here, let's see what we got. David. Let me answer this on the last stream. Let me answer this. My Australian elegance wound up bailing off the skeleton and got shredded by the my power head last night. I had to perform a water change and put some carbon in there. Yeah, I remember you talking about the elegance during the stream, either yesterday or day before. Yeah, Australian, and you can see, I guess, in the comment section of that video, the Australians are just not fun. I don't know is that the cone base? Last time I checked it, I don't think that's the cone base. I could be wrong. I know that the cone are the easier ones for me to keep alive, and I've sold a ton of them and never had any issues with shipping or any kind of DOAs or anything with that. So what they did long term, I'm not sure. I've had some in the old imported system for a couple months and was no problem. So yeah, the elegance are pretty iffy stuff, man. Not really a fan, and I'm glad you did a water change. Yeah, I got shredded. I would have pulled it out as soon as the head started going like that, just because you don't want that stuff spreading around the tank. But at least you got the water change in there. So let's go and see what I can't see what that was. All right. Hey, Fisher Hex, hope all is well with you and fellow reefers out there, and be safe. God bless America. Rest in peace to all our heroes. Yeah, it was a rough day, man. I'm not gonna get into the political stuff and all the crap that's going on. We can sum it up to say that there are a lot of insane people on the internet right now saying a lot of dumb stuff that's not appropriate. But you can say what you want to say, just don't do what the fuck around me. Moving down. Wait, what? Billy, $60 at your local fish store? What? For Chaeto? How much? How, Billy? You didn't say how big it was. I mean, that's what she said. But how much Chaeto are you getting for $60? You getting like a 5-gallon bucket? You said a ball before. I hope that's not true. Man, you should give me their number. I want to call them and be like, you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, email me, man. I'd be interested to know what store that is, just so I can. It'd be funny if it's somebody I know. But you're a dumbass. Anyways. If my skimmer is double the size that my tank needs, will I overskim it? Can I just have a timer on and off? Leave your skimmer on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no reason to put a timer on there. The only time my skimmer goes off is when I'm feeding. So when I'm feeding, it's off for like 2.5 hours, and then it comes back on, something like that. I have to look at the apex for the exact amount of time, but that's about it. If my skimmer is rated for a 1,000-gallon tank, it's on 500 gallons right now, and just if you don't want to skim a lot, just do more of a dry skim. That's the ability to adjust the wet or dry skimming via that water level knob is good. If you buy a skimmer that doesn't have that, then it's a crappy skimmer, so don't get it. But yeah, just do a little bit more dry skimming. And if you find that your nutrients are a little bit higher than they should be, then consider wet skimming a little bit, and you'll dial it in based on being consistent with feeding and your stock levels and all that kind of stuff. You don't need to turn your skimmer off. There's no reason for that. Hey, no problem, David. Carlos, what's up, man? I want to give a shout out to, there's a person just put in their 28th order on the website, and I want to give him a shout out, but I don't know if he wants me to, but he just did, and I appreciate the support. There's a lot of return customers, I really do. So yeah, it's one of my higher end ones. There's only a few of you out there that are up in the 20, almost 30-ish range. Appreciate that, by the way. Be careful in the trees. Yeah, I'm actually going out and doing a little bit of scouting tomorrow. Squirrel season starts tomorrow. I haven't decided if I'm going to go out there. There's just a lot of work for shooting squirrels and eating them. It's just a lot of work. You don't get much. So, but I am going to go out. I have to go. I have narrowed it down a couple spots. I'm going to go set some trees, some spots for climbing for opening day tomorrow. So that's what I do in the morning. Probably got to work in the evening. Hello, Travis and everyone. Question, Travis. A while back, you did a underwater Dremel. How did that work out? Did it end up being too dangerous? Haven't heard mention it since. It's not dangerous for me, but for the average Joe. That's why I haven't shared the plans with anybody or considered creating it. For me, it wasn't a problem. It worked out great. But I can't. It's the type of product that I can't introduce to you guys because someone's going to cut their dick off with it, and then I'm going to get in trouble. So, yeah. Squirrel pizza. I'd do it. So, yeah, it worked out great. I also went ahead and used a normal Dremel attachment. It was a one-time use. Back when I was removing the Stylophora, I just bought a regular Dremel attachment and tried that. Again, you can only use it one time because it's going to rust afterward. Of course, you want to clean it ahead of time so there's no oils and stuff like that. But, yeah, I wish I could share that with you, but it's too dangerous for the average Joe, and I can't be held responsible for it. But other than that, it worked out great. What DKH can you get away with when dosing manually with SPS and acros? I'm guessing you meant with on that. Well, what kind of swing can you get away with? Okay, what DKH can you get away with? So when it comes to SPS and acros, I usually stay between 9 and 9.5 if I can. I try to stay. It's not so much the number, okay, guys. When it comes to SPS, it's not the number of DKH. As long as you're within the 7 to 12 DKH, you're fine. You want to stay away from any extreme, so you want to stay away from 7 and you want to stay away from 12. So picking that 8.5 to 9-ish is fine. The key to alkalinity is stability. So if you pick 8.5, stay at 8.5. Do everything you can to stay at that. But if you're going from 8.5 to 9.5 to 10.5 to 11.5 in a couple days and then swinging back down to 8.5, yeah, that's where you're going to have the problem. So pick a number and stay with it. And if you find that you're having a lot of growth, or you cut a lot of coral like I do here in the fish room, your alkalinity will go down. But make sure you just, again, you adjust your equipment accordingly to keep it stable, not so much shoot it back up to where you want. So I guess to clarify that a little bit more, I cut a bunch of coral the other day, right? It was at a normal 9.5. Now I'm at about 8. So it went down over a few days because of all the extra growth and the cutting and all that stuff. Now, instead of me going in there and cranking my calcium reactor all the way up, I just dialed it just a little bit to stop it from dropping, but not go back up to 9.5. It's just going to keep it stable at 8. And then what happens is once all those corals heal, it will creep its way back up to my 9.5. And then at that point, I can dial the reactor back down a little bit. And again, it's a kind of a balancing act for me because I have a lot of coral healing and I have a lot of coral being shipped. So it's not as easy as just a standard tank that you have sitting in your living room. But that's the method I've used, and it's been pretty successful. Thanks for the super chat, David. Really appreciate that. Let me get a drink because I'm about to go frog throat. Yeah, there we go. Sorry if that was in anybody's ear. Kind of. All right, then down here. It was the cone base. That's unfortunate. I would check and see if anything, if sand particles got stuck in the mouth. I know that you can kill off LPS with that. If sand gets in the mouth and it isn't able to get it out, big chunks of food. If another LPS is stinging it, those are all things you want to look at for maybe before purchasing another one. Risky Biscuits, the FPV guy. I have a new 100-gallon system that's been up for 2 months now. Only 4 fish, so relatively light feeding and nutrient input. Should I wait until my nutrients are higher before firing up the Fuge? Well, you didn't say what your nutrients were. So if you're showing nitrates and phosphates, you could start the Fuge up. You don't want to wait for it to get too high. You can start it up and see if it grows. If you start it up and the macroalgae dies off in a few weeks, then it's probably not ready. But if you're spending $60 for a ball of Chaeto, then I'd probably wait. But if you're spending like $10 or you can get it from a friend, then consider trying it now. And keeping your nutrients stable now, getting that biodiversity in there, getting the pods growing, and all that good stuff. Good place for them to hide, and see what you can do. But if you put it in there and again it dies, then you might want to wait. See here. You guys talk about the elegance corals here. How did you convince your wife to let you drop all the cash in your reef tank? How do I word this without sounding like an asshole? I make all the money and I pay all the bills, so I make the decision. That's about it, right? I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, she enjoys the hobby too. There's no issues with it. My kids really love it. There's no problem. There's no downside to having all this. And to be honest with you, I didn't drop too much onto it. I used my 125. All the coral I sold from that to pretty much purchase what I needed for this setup. Also, on top of that, I got sponsorships and stuff like that from other companies. So I didn't spend a lot of money. But I, as I mentioned before, it's about when I first set up the system without the additional tanks. It was about as much as a new F-150 back when I did. And I paid for this system probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 times over since I've started it. So, I'm definitely not in the hole when it comes to it. Yeah. When are you moving? Just asking because I'm about to start a new tank, going to need something. Some things are still going to seal. Okay. I'm about to start a new tank and going to need some things. Are you still going to sell corals during the move? Yeah. All right. So, Dustin, I am going to be setting up 2 systems at the new place. We're going to have the imported system, which is going to be out in a different building. It might be temporarily inside while we're transitioning. We'll see how that works out. But I will be setting up a couple low boys in a DIY sump and transferring any coral that I don't sell between now and the actual move, whenever that might be. And I will continue to be selling and picking from colonies in that setup. And then during that whole process, I'll be building a new setup, setting up a new quarantine for coral, and kind of going about it that way. And of course, quarantining all the fish again, even though they're fine. I'm still gonna. It's from the scratch, so everything gets quarantined over again. and sterilize the 300 because we're going to be using that tank again. But yeah, the plan is I'm talking to a realtor. Actually, I talked to her today. Looking at a few different spots of land, and officially can't really pick the lot of land I want because I'm buying a wooded lot, and I can't do that until the trees are without leaves, because I want to be able to really see the land for what it is, not just off a topo map and from the side of the road. I want to be able to get in there and really see it. And so basically, I got to wait until fall or even just the beginning of the year to be safe. So we're looking at January to go ahead and purchase the land, and then go through the VA and go through that whole process to have the house built sometime after that. Hopefully by June of next year, we'll be at the new place. That's the plan. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Hopefully it is. And if not, then we'll adjust fire and keep going. That's the best you can do, right? So, but yeah, I'll be selling all the normal stuff. I mean, of course, things will be going out of stock and not coming back. Some like bird's nests and stuff that I don't have a lot of left. And just a lot, I'm going to be really cutting back on how much coral I have, because I don't really have much of a choice. So, but yeah, no worries, man. I'll have stuff. Do I need to cycle a new tank that I am upgrading to, going from a 75 to a 125? Well, it depends. I mean, you don't so much have to cycle it again, but I would kind of, so you're going to obviously transfer your current rock over there. Well, I'm guessing you're going to. If you're not transferring the rock you already have, then yes, you want to cycle all the new rock ahead of time. That would be ideal. But I'm assuming that you're going to be transferring the rock. And at that point, you're going to add new rock to kind of fill out the 125. Again, I'm assuming that you're doing that. So what you want to do is you're going to add your fish and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to feed as much. You want to cut back on kind of any kind of aminos or anything that you're dosing. You want to keep your nutrients in check, because it's going to take a little while for the beneficial bacteria to build up. And you want to make sure that you go relatively slow. Now, I don't know what your setup is. Ideally, you would take the the new rock that you plan on adding to the 125, cure that ahead of time, and then when you're ready to upgrade, you take the 75-gallon rock, put it in the 125, and then you take the cured rock, put it in the 125. That way you don't have any dips in beneficial bacteria, and you don't have any issues with ammonia spikes or anything like that. That's what I would do personally. But I don't know what kind of room you have or anything like that, but just go slow. You don't want to have any, again, jumps in alkalinity or nutrients or anything like that. So, all right, so let's move down. My voice is already taking a crap. I can feel it too. I went out for a walk before I actually got in here, so I was out messing with the grass and the trees. So allergies are like, not today, buddy. So yeah, it's out there. We're out there chasing the turkeys. There was a whole bunch of them, a whole flock of giant turkeys that apparently weren't scared of me. I got within 30 yards of those jokers with a dog. Man, I was just wish I had the bow, man. Would have had turkey for dinner. Not really, because it's not hunting season yet. But you know what I'm saying. Turkeys are everywhere until you're ready to shoot one, and then they're never around. So, okay. They'll stress the crap out of SPS and also hide in the mouth. I don't know. I guess I missed the first part of that. Is your new 1,000-gallon system going to be paid entirely by the proceeds from your 300? If so, you're killing it. Well, the 1,000-gallon tank alone, I'm not really sure. I could buy it if I want to. I'd prefer not to. I'd prefer to do like a sponsorship. That way I can put the money in the lighting. The lighting alone is going to be over 20 grand between that tank and the frag tanks. So I'd prefer not to have to drop 50 grand or so on tanks alone, because we're going to be doing the 1,000 plus we're going to be doing the 300 is going to be upstairs. I'm going to put a small tank in my office upstairs. Not really sure on the size. Probably just do like a 75 or something. And then I will be doing upwards of 5 8-foot by 2-foot by 1-foot frag tanks downstairs. So all that stuff, that all adds up pretty quickly. And then the lighting associated with it, and then of course the sump and everything. So I prefer to do sponsorships in turn for maybe videos or a discount or something. But it's going to have to be a pretty significant amount, because this is my forever tank, my last setup essentially. And if I have to pay for it all, I will. It's not something that I will not do, but I prefer not to, just for the sake of that sucks. But you know, I mean, I can wear my big boy pants if I have to pay for the entire setup and drop, you know, $75,000 on a tank. That just means it's going to take a little bit longer to finish the setup. And to be honest, I'm not really in any kind of rush. I will still be selling coral. Like I said, I'll have a separate setup and be able to sell coral, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, we'll see. I'll let you guys know when the time comes. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. Oh man, I'll have my 280 up by then, and I thought it was within this year. Yeah, this year, no. I mean, like between now and the end of 2020, no, we definitely won't be moving that. No way. Mainly because this is the time of year that I get to do fun things. It's hunting season. It's holiday season. It's, you know, I love the winter. I love the fall. I you know, last thing I want to do is go through the stress of trying to get all that done. So I'm just waiting to the beginning of the year. So my lease here runs out in April. And I have, you know, our plan is to have everything in motion by then. So we'll see. During a blackout fighting dino, how do you think the fish feel? You shouldn't be using a blackout to fight dino. That's the incorrect method. The fish will be fine, though. Turkeys are hard. Yeah, I'm actually going to be raising some turkeys and chickens soon. When I was a little kid, my Uncle Chet used to raise turkeys. He had one called Puffer, and this thing was so big that he could not fit into the baking pan. He had to take his legs off and put them in a separate baking pan. It was and his wings too. He's a big boy. So I definitely want to raise turkeys at some point. I am definitely a hillbilly for the, you know, for those of you who are wondering. Definitely that kind of personality. I like that stuff. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to snag a bird for Thanksgiving. I know Scott's coming down for coming over. Not technically down. It might be down from New Jersey, but he's coming over from New Jersey for Thanksgiving. So I'm hoping I can snag a bird before then. There's a couple good spots out in public land that I've seen them, but again, they're there now, but they probably won't be there when I need them. So I did have a couple sit underneath me during a hunt last year, which was entertaining. Couldn't get a shot though. They were and they're a little small too. I don't want to shoot something that's small. It's not worth it. I'd rather be a big boy. Can you run a Fuge in a fish-only tank? Yes. The tank, excuse me, is 2 years old with plenty of rock. No lighting yet in the display tank. Waiting till I get into corals. Have about 7 fish in a 100-gallon. So, okay. You have it. Okay, in the tank. Like you want to run the Refugium in the tank? No, I would not do that. You'd have to put it in a sump. The tank is 2 years old with plenty of rock. No lighting yet in the display. Waiting till I get into corals. Have about 7 fish in there. So you have a tank with no lighting on it. That must be boring as hell to look at. But yeah, you could start a Refugium up as long as there's enough bio load to keep the macroalgae alive. Yeah, but don't grow it in the main display. Grow it in the sump. Hopefully that. I mean, I might be misreading what you're saying. It is kind of late for me, given how long I've been awake. But I hope I read that right. If I didn't, you can feel free to leave a comment below. Yes, the Fuge in the sump. Okay, I'm looking on my other screen. Okay, yeah, just grow it in the Fuge. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're fine, dude. You do that. I missed the first part of this question, I think. My phosphate is at 0.1, 0.15. Is that... You're breaking up. I'm trying to go through a year's like... sorry, is that okay? In the UK, I get told to run at 0.02, which is too low, 0.03. Yeah, 0.02 to 0.03 is too low for phosphate, especially via the HANA checker. 0.07 to 0.15 is what I recommend. You getting down to those extremes. You get underneath 0.05, I find that you're too close to the oh crap marker. Like if you forget to feed one day, you're almost that close where you might end up getting a chance of getting dino. So I would increase your nutrients a little bit. I feel your corals will be a little bit happier around that 0.07 mark anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys have cleaner water or something in the UK. I don't know. I just think that's a little low. I would not personally run my system at 0.02. And when I have, I've either gotten dino or I've pissed off some colonies severely. So yeah, I guess whatever works for you. Let me buy your Geo Sump. I'm actually going to put that on the I'm actually going to put the sump on the imported system. We're going to be adding 6 to 8 8-foot troughs in a separate building, and I need a sump, so I'm probably just going to transfer this entire setup over and then just do a new sump on the new build. So that's the plan so far. But if something changes, I'll let you know. But it ain't going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap. So get your big boy pants on. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, let's go move down. Oh my God, thank you for saying you don't need blackout to fight or deal with dino. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It might quote unquote go away for a little while because it needs light and the lack of nutrients to grow, but it's definitely not something that I would do. I just wouldn't do that. I just got another email coming. I was reading it real quick. All right, let's see here. Fish of Hex Aquatics. My salinity is somehow down to 1.022. How fast should I raise it? Well, dropping salinity is the easy part. If you want to increase it, you need to go really slow. So you're probably targeting 1.025. You're going to want to increase that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, if longer, because I don't know. I get the names mixed up on who's got what in their tanks and what their description is. But yeah, you want to go slow. You can definitely drop it quicker into like hyposalinity, but increasing it, you got to go really slow because the fish have to be able to adjust internally so they don't die from it. Do we leave the lights on when tank is cycling? You should cycle your rock before, ideally. But no, I would keep the lights off. I wouldn't put any fish in there, and I'd cycle it that way, personally. You can do what you want, but lights and instability equals, I was going to go off on something. It equals bad stuff. You can look around YouTube and see what happens when you don't do things correctly. There's plenty of people out there that can show you that. What is a normal amount of having to clean glass? Recently, mine has increased to a dusting to where I have to clean every day or every other day. Is that normal? Yeah, that's normal. That's fine. Just keep an eye on your nutrients. I don't clean mine. Well, Scott cleaned mine. Took him like fucking hour to do it. It was pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, dusting is pretty normal. That's about what I got after a day or so, 2 days. We got a little bit of a dusting, nothing crazy. But check your nutrients. You might be elevated. I'm trying to be patient, but I want to put in an order for some of your acros. It's only been up for 2 months. 8.0 DKH, 4 cal, 1350 mag, 4 nitrates, 0.5 phosphates. Well, I mean, your nutrients are in the right range. Your water parameters seem fine. What I will say is don't go out and buy the Walt Disney on the website. Don't go out and buy $60 frags or Pinky and Bears, anything that are expensive. Buy $20, $30 acros is fine. If you really want to do it, just don't go out and spend a ton of money because I'd hate for you to do it and then, you don't want to buy a $100, $200 coral and then kill it. So, but yeah, just buy some easier stuff like green slimer would be a pretty good starter for you. I mean, your water parameters are in the right range. I mean, your phosphates could be up a little bit higher, like 0.07, as I mentioned before. But I just wouldn't buy anything too expensive. That's all I'm saying. And then, also get some easier SPS if you don't have that, because I'm sure you're going to want to see how that does as well. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Just don't spend a ton of money on higher end stuff. All right. Thanks again for the for helping you on the 135. Things are looking much better. Yeah, I think I got an email from you the other day. I might have replied to you, Charles. I mean, like I said, I don't want you guys to take it personal. I don't remember everybody I talked to. I don't think anybody does at this point with the sheer amount of emails. But I'm pretty sure I replied to you on that one. If there was a way, and this is something I've struggled with since I've really started having a lot of back and forth with people and extensive orders and Skype calls and consultations and stuff, is that it's very difficult to, I wouldn't say build relationships with people, but if I just have an hour Skype call with you, I mean, we got along during the whole Skype call and we accomplished what we were doing, but then when we go to talk later, I don't remember remember that specific Skype call, so I feel bad. I wish there was a way that I could remember everything. I know that's not possible. If I can just remember everything, so I don't feel like such a an asshole when I'm trying to talk to people like, hey man, you got to remind me of what we were talking about, because I honestly don't remember. And I think some people take it personal, but the majority of you guys understand where I'm coming from on that. So hi Travis, I tried the NO3 dosing, but as usual was not gradual. Anyway, I have one SPS corals that bleached. Will it return back to life or just remove it? Well, if it's completely white, it's gone. Don't even mess with it, man. I mean, if it's white, I mean, if it has, okay, here's the deal. If you look at it at night and you still see polyps, then he has a chance of coming back. Bleaching doesn't necessarily mean that it's completely dead. It could just be really stressed out. But if you see polyps, leave it in there, give it some time. Understand that it can take 24 hours to bleach a colony, and it could take a couple months to bring that coloration back. That's just kind of the way it is. So, yeah, check it out, but do it at night, because you really get an idea of what your corals look like at night. Truly look like. Oh, I know how much those geosumps are. Already priced one out. Yeah. Then you add that customization to it. It keeps going, but I can't wait to see what I get for the next build. That's if Geo wants to work with me, which, I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't. I'm pretty sure I've sent plenty of business his way, one way or another, with a YouTube channel. Hopefully I did. There's no way to confirm it, but hopefully I did. Travis, I have some SPS with algae growing on the tips, but my lights are not too strong, around 300 par. Walt Disney Acro, my elk is very stable 8. So you have algae growing on the tips. So I'm guessing the burnt tips and then the algae started growing on them. I'm guessing that's what you mean by that. Is there more to this? Okay, I'm looking here. Most SPS are quite fine. So, okay, what I would do with that is just double check your nutrients, because I know that if the algae is growing on it, you might have a little bit elevated nitrates and phosphates. So double check that first, and then I've done this before. Is I would just cut the algae off, kind of get it back to where it's flesh and not just skeleton, and hopefully it will heal over before algae has a chance to grow back on there. So consider doing that. Or you can just wait it out and it will heal and grow back over itself. I mean, it's up to you what you want to do. I have 2 75-gallon tubs filled with rock. Has been soaking for 3 months with the cover off. Oh, cool. You're on your way to curing that rock, that's for sure. How many XR15s is your mind in your mind is appropriate for a 6-foot 30-inch deep tank SPS dominant reef tank? Okay, so if you're doing I guess if you're doing a LED T5 combo like I am, so 6 foot, you're looking at one per foot, ideally. And I do that right now. I have 1 per foot on mine, so I have 8 on an 8-foot tank, and I'm just fine. But I am doing a T5 combination with 8 T5 bulbs. So 1 per foot is good on a tank that deep. You should be fine. Again, consider T5s for supplement lighting on that. If you're having issues with your systems, the best things you can do is pay for the one time with Travis, been listening to his advice. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I just had a call right before I got on here. Well, about an hour before. I do them pretty consistently. I think 3, maybe 4 a week. And they're usually in the evenings because it's hard to do it during the day. Most of you guys are working, and I hate to stop midday to try to do a Skype call, but I will if I have to, if we have a big difference in time zone or whatever. I do offer worldwide on that. It's via Skype, so you don't have to be in the United States for that. And yeah, you can go on the website and purchase it. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. It's pretty successful. I feel like I've helped quite a few people on that. It's just because it's difficult to. If you send emails in, I know I was doing the email Q&A. I'm going to try to do those again in the future, but it's very difficult to get your guys' questions, especially if you're dropping them on Instagram or you're sending me emails. I just can't get to them. Again, it's nothing personal. I just can't do it. I had another one of me possibly, but yeah, I just can't. So it's a good way to get stuff taken care of right away. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if, like Jeff Goldblum in the Fly, to be able to dissolve your food in acid and suck it up juices? I don't wonder that. That's a random ass question. No, I don't wonder that. Who do you main in WoW? Rep Pally for life. I do Feral Druid. Well, Druid in general. But I do Guardian or Feral. Been like that since Firelands. I mained Fireland Heroic Progression in that for Druid, for Guardian, and then I've been just Feral. I enjoy it. I know it's not the greatest class, but I have no problem. I'm usually top DPS and Mythic plus 9 out of 10 times. So there's just a lot of bad Ferals out there that people don't understand. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm playing. And that's what I'm sticking to. Plus, I have the really cool Mage Tower forms, which is nice for all specs. So I like that as well. How does it mean the coral is not dead? SPS. So does it mean the coral is not dead? SPS. Well, if it has polyps, it means it's not dead. You don't necessarily have to have skin to be alive as a coral. I mean, the skin is still there. It just bleached out, right? So because the zooxanthellae are expelled from the coral, doesn't mean it's dead. And it can be for various reasons: too much light, not enough nutrients. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's when the skin completely peels off, like STN and RTN. That's when the polyps usually go with it. But if you just bleach it and the polyps are still there, then it's still alive. It just needs to be kind of some a little TLC to get it back. I have 2 XR15s and a 4-bulb T5 hybrid over an RSR 170. I don't know what that is. I stick to my rule of 1 per 1 foot, at least on deeper tanks. When you have not such a deep tank, you can get away with 1 every 2 feet because that's what they recommend. XR15s have a 24 by 24 inch spread on them, but on deeper tanks, you want to have a little bit more power than that. At least for me. Travis, what's your take on automated dosing versus calcium reactors versus manual dosing? What are some high-level considerations when deciding? Well, if you want ease of use, but initial purchase is high, setup isn't actually that complex once you know how it is. Calcium reactor is the best, period, hands down, because you're dissolving coral essentially to help feed and grow coral. All right, so you're going to get those minor elements that are already in the skeletal structure, which is nice, that you're not going to get with 2-part or calcwater or manual dosing. So calcium reactors are really good too. The maintenance can be difficult or can be higher. You just got to make sure your pumps stay clean. Keep an eye on your flow rate. Always put an FMM flow module on the output of the calcium reactor because it really lets you know if there's a clog in the tube or the pump is just not good. That's been a lifesaver for me. But other than that, I wouldn't really go anything other than calcium reactor. Just stability wise, controllability, it's just a good thing. Again, the initial cost is a little high, and it definitely has a learning curve to it, so you're gonna have to learn that. Other than that, I did automatic dosing via dosing pumps, the Jabos dosing pumps. Did that for a while on the 125. It was great. I was going through 250 milliliters of BRS 2-part every week and a half, 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy. So I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. I can only imagine how much I would need for this setup. There's just no way, man. That's my, is there any more to that? Manual dosing, I would only do that on like a soft coral tank. If you're trying to keep stability for an SPS system, you do not want to be manually dosing. It's just not something that I recommend you do. It's just not a good idea, man. I wouldn't do it. So I'm getting a lag here for some reason. Not really sure. Okay. Well, thanks for the support. I guess I can give you a shout out if I can open it up. Dude, possibly if it loads. Brett, I don't know if you're in the chat, but I appreciate the support and I appreciate your order. And that, as long as you don't have cut to order, that bad boy will be going out on Monday. So, yeah, reply to the email if you find that that day doesn't work for you. Let me know. Anyway, we're scrolling back up. Just switched to T5s and the Orphic LED bar from Radeon Gen 4 Pros. Corals are stressed. Double check the par, man. That's one of the things that is very difficult about having an SPS tank. And I've even considered adding 2 more XR15s to my 300, give me a grand total of 10, because there is some shading in some parts of the colonies back before I did the overhaul that I considered adding the lighting. But was the stress of adding that light is it going to justify? that's just one of the things. You really want to get your lighting set up and stable at the very beginning when you start growing SPS. It really stinks to try to upgrade lights and to go about all that after you already have colonies established. But I know that not everybody can just set up a reef tank the way they want the very first time. A lot of us are on budgets. A lot of us have to take time. If you guys remember, the 300 only had one XR15 over each rock structure for like the first 6 or so months. Look back at the 2-year update on the 300, and you can see when I finally finished the lighting, the colonies just took off. So, and I had to do that because I was obviously on a budget. I couldn't just go out and drop $8,000 on lights because I fucking felt like it. So I understand the feeling, but do your best. When you're building a tank, if you're going to make sacrifices on equipment, and you have to, in one way or another, don't make sacrifices on your lighting. If you have to wait to buy a skimmer on a new setup, wait. Put that money into lighting, because at the end of the day, you could just feed a little bit less. You can increase your water changes if you need to. A skimmer is beneficial. You can also use a cheaper skimmer for meanwhile. I mean, you don't need the best of all, but I would definitely consider purchasing the lighting first, which I will be doing on my next build. Lighting is the priority. If I have to wait for certain things, I will, because again, I've learned that mistake. I lost 6 to 8 months worth of growth because I didn't have my lighting done first, and it added stress to the tank when I finally did add it. So, yeah, I went off on that for a little bit there. Hey man, I'm curious why my acros grew when I didn't do a water change and fed the fish 3 times a day. My film algae was stress. I can't even fucking read that word. But my acros grew nitrates and why am I clicking off this thing? Here we go. Okay, let me hear. My acros grew nitrates and phosphates 0.03 and 1 consistently. So you were higher than that before? I guess that's what you mean. If you can reply to that. So you weren't doing water changes. You were feeding 3 times a day, and but now my acros grew nitrates and phosphates 0.03 and once consistently. Is that what you had before? I'm waiting for you to see if it pops up because I can't answer the question. I get a little bit more info. But I mean, water changes. When it comes to nutrients, water changes definitely remove quite a bit. I'm going to wait for you to get in here and see if you can reply. If not, then I'll have to move on. But Mark, hopefully you can. Hopefully you're still here. But anyway, I found that when it comes to acroporial growth for me, that when I started getting the nutrients down, as I'm dealing with now with shipping a lot of coral, that the growth definitely slows down. When I am at the appropriate range and it's stable and not fluctuating, I get the best growth, the best coloration, the best polyp extension. It's when it dips down to those lowers, like 0.03 is considered pretty low. 1 on the nitrates is definitely considered pretty low. No, like my acros grew when I didn't do water changes and fed a lot more. So I mean, yeah, when you had higher nutrients, I'm guessing you're gonna have a little bit better growth. And now that you nitrates and phosphates have been stable at 0.03 and 1, so right now, what you have consistently for your phosphates and nitrates, I consider that low. 0.03 phosphates and 1 nitrate is definitely low. I personally would not feel comfortable being at that range. I mean, you can get away with it, but you'll find. I mean, I bet if you bring them up, bring it up to 5 nitrates and even 1 ppm of phosphates, I guarantee you're going to get better growth and coloration for sure. And if you were feeding before, I guess if I read that correctly, if you were feeding before 3 times a day and you had elevated nutrients higher than what you have now and you're getting better growth, then yeah, that's where you're, that's where the difference is. So, yeah. Charles, do you dose any beneficial bacteria regularly? Yes, twice a week, which, by the way, I haven't done at all this week because I've been completely distracted. Twice a week, I do Dr. Tim's Eco Balance once a week, and then I do aquavitral seed once a week. So I do dose 2 beneficial bacteria every single week, and I do that again to compensate, help with the dino a little bit. But since I got the new UV on there, we've been shipping quite a bit of coral, and I haven't had any dino pop up. So I guess between the bacteria and the brand new UV, yeah, we ain't got no issues, man. Got a little bit of film on the glass, nothing crazy, but yeah, it's been pretty good. So, but I thought acros need very low nutrients. No, Mark, that's not true. Acros do not need low nutrients to grow. They don't. I mean, everyone's definition of low nutrients is different, but you stay between 0.07 to 0.15 of your phosphates and 3 to 5 ppm on average for nitrates, and your corals will grow just fine. You'll be perfectly fine, your acros. It's when you get down low. See, that was the misconception. When the Zeovit system came out and everyone was talking about having the bone zero nitrates and phosphates, that was all you needed for growing coral. Well, when you do that, the corals starve and then they don't grow very well. You get crappy coloration. You find that when you bring your nutrients back up to those ranges I just mentioned, you're gonna have better coral growth. You're just gonna. You're gonna have better coloration. So I would consider bringing those up, Mark. And you should definitely see a benefits to that. For the Horde, yeah, I'm a big gamer, man. I guess that expansion is coming out on the 27th or 28th of next month, and as I mentioned on the live stream, I got to fill 4 deer tags before the expansion comes out. So it's gonna be a busy October, and if not, then I'm just gonna keep hunting. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's just to be a nice change. Took a 1-day trip. Everything was fine when I left. I came back home and my hammers are not opening up at all. Check my parameters. Everything is normal. Any ideas? It's been 2 weeks. Well, I mean, do you have a significant other at home that doesn't like your hobby? Just saying. I mean, a day trip is nothing. So whatever's wrong with the tank, either something was put in the tank. I mean, I'm not saying that, but exactly. But maybe consider doing an ICP test before you make any major changes. If you were literally just took a day trip and you came back and the tank was pissed off, you might want to start looking at who was in the house. What was going on in the house? Did you have air freshener near the tank? I mean, look around. Again, consider doing an ICP test because a day trip means nothing. If you didn't notice it before, then unless you got stoned out of your fucking mind and you were, stuck in the back of a parking lot for 3 weeks and you thought it was a day trip, I mean, then, I would consider asking around definitely doing an ICP test or something because I don't think a day trip is going to do anything. Worst case scenario, if you don't want to do that, a good way to reset a system is to do a 30% water change every other day for a week. It's a good way to reset your system when you have issues like this. As long as, granted, you're not at zero nutrients. You don't want to be doing major water changes when you're already at zero nitrates and phosphates. That'd be bad. So, but yeah, look into that a little bit more. Glad to hear you're getting back into LPS and SPS and LPS and other corals. Should be just in time for my 180 build. Yeah, my plan is to do it end of this month or next month. I want to get that other system up and running. Just got to work out things here with Scott. Obviously, payroll and getting that. I was talking to my CPA today. I got to get things situated with that because legally I can only pay so much money until he's in the system completely. So it kind of puts a little damper on what we want to get done right away, but we'll work something out. We'll figure it out. So yeah, I definitely want to get the importer system back in. My lights were off for about 26 hours. Well, yeah, there's your problem right there. If your lights were off for 26 hours, your corals are just mad. It's not going to kill them. They're just mad. It's like you have these jokers doing blackouts. The corals don't like that. They just don't. So, I mean, it's not going to kill them. It's just going to take them time to adjust. But if that's the only thing, then, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Hello, Travis. As I can't order your additives for NO3 and P4, how can I raise those parameters without dosing? Only feeding fishes? Yeah. I mean, you could feed, or you can do some research and figure out how to make it yourself, I suppose. Yeah, feeding is a good way. Consider making your own food. I don't know if you've seen the videos on me on my food that I make, but you can make it really nutrient dense so that you don't have to feed a lot. And it goes quite a long way, but it does help increase the nutrients. So consider maybe doing something like that as well. How do you personally keep your pH up when running a calcium reactor? I don't really keep it up. I do have my calcium reactor plumbed outside. I mentioned this in previous video where it pulls in the fresh air. That way it helps elevate the pH. But because I have what am I doing right now? flow at? Let me see. Okay, let me put this screen up here. So if you guys can see, my calcium reactor, my alkalinity is at 8.31. My flow in the calcium reactor is 4.3 gallons per hour. I'm having a little bit of a clog. It's usually around 6, so hence my alkalinity is a little lower than I wanted to. But my pH is pretty low. Okay, so I'm dumping so much into this tank that you guys, this is my pH fluctuation, guys. Every single night, you guys are like, you got to be above 8. Look at this, man. I didn't even hit 8. 7.95 is what I'm lucky to hit midday. What time is that? That's at 1900, so that's at 7 p.m. I'm lucky to hit 8.0, and you can see down here at night it gets down to 7.63. And believe my alarm goes off once I get below this threshold, which is about 7.8. So every morning I wake up with big old pile of text messages from my Apex, and there's nothing else I can do about it. I mean, I leave the door open when I can. Again, I'm running the skimmer outside. The CO2 scrubber doesn't work worth crap for me. I burn it up too quickly. The air stone I've tried, it didn't really make a big difference. It's just because I'm dumping so much fluid from that calcium reactor into that tank that I'm just, this is where I'm at. So this is the way I've been for a long time, and I've grown most of my reef tank being under 8.0 pH. So if you're trying to be at 8.3, yeah, you can stay there and be fine, but you don't need that, man. I mean, I proved the point right there. I mean, I've grown plenty of SPS being low pH. So take that in consideration. Moving down. What time are we at here? Oh, we're already an hour. I'm gonna do a few more minutes and I'm gonna head out. Are you guys going to sell Zoa's mushroom skulls? Yeah, we're gonna do all that stuff, man. I can't find reborn media anywhere. What's the next best cal reactor media? I use the ARM media. It seems to be fine. The pH has to be a little bit lower. I'm not getting as much out of it as I did the reborn, as in it's not lasting as long and it's not as potent. Having to keep my it says high magnesium media. It's not really high magnesium. I have to dump a gallon of magnesium in my tank every month. So the media is okay for now. I prefer reborn or something. If I can find something like that, that'd be nice. But yeah, the media I have works. It serves a purpose, but it's not my ideal choice. Rest in peace, reborn. Thoughts on calc? Swapped from 2-part to calc for pH benefits. Tank only used 25 ml alk and cal per day on doser. Will calc through auto be stable enough for maintaining colors and growth? Well, if you're able to keep the alkalinity stable, yeah, it's fine. The thing is, with putting it through your ATO, is it's going to fluctuate during the year. I mean, you tend to burn up more during the summertime. Or at least I find that I burn more ATO water. So as long as you can compensate for that. But again, you just saw where my pH is. It's fine. If you're around 8, then don't even worry about trying to use calc to keep your pH elevated. Use something and use an easier method like 2-part or calcium reactor or something of that sort. But if you're really, really low and you want to use calc, then go ahead. But there's either easier, more consistent and stable methods out there than relying on your ATO. So we're going to do a couple more questions. I'm heading out. Hey, Travis, question. If phosphates are at 0.09, will acros grow thicker on that level, or will they grow thicker at 0.03? What are your experience? Which ones do you think are better? Okay, so thickness of acropora is not really determined by nutrients from what I have figured out on my own. Thickness of acropora has to do with the flow in the tank. When you slam your tank with a lot of flow, and I mean, I'm not talking about blasting direct colonies, the more flow you have, the more that colony has to stabilize itself as it grows. So that's where you get the thicker bases from. I mean, I know that WWC was the size of a freaking a baseball. The base of that thing was disgusting. I could barely get it out of there. So, yeah, more flow increases thickness of coral structures and acropora. Nutrients, not so much. Not that I've realized. No, I mean, you're not even. I mean, what the difference between 0.03 and 0.09 is almost nothing. Nothing that I would even consider different, really. I mean, ideally, you want to be at the higher number, but for coloration and polyp extension, in overall growth, you want that higher elevation of nitrates and phosphates. But for thickness, acropore, I mean, I'm sure it plays a role, but it's nothing that I've experienced. I will tell you, when I increased the flow in the 300, I got thicker bases. I can tell you that for a fact. All right, so I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to head out. So, Jeremy, hey, Travis, just wondering if you think the blue hippo tang would be okay in a 125. I remember you having a 125 at one point. Thanks for your videos. Help. Yeah, 125 is fine for a hippo tang, but I would leave it at that. Understand that a hippo tang will get upwards of 1 foot long. Now, granted, that will take a while. At some point, you will have to upgrade the tank or get rid of the fish. That a full-grown hippo tang will not be able to be comfortable in a 125. It just won't, unless it's a bare tank and they can just swim around with no obstructions. Unlike the Flamingi tang, who grew over a foot in less than a year and a half, you're not going to have that with a hippo tang. Hippo tangs take quite a while to grow. Usually older ones, much older fish are upwards of that 1 foot, which is really their max length. So you should be fine for a while. I wouldn't stress about it too much. And yeah, guys, I know there's some more questions coming in, but that's about it for this video. Starting to get frog voice here. So again, guys, if you want to support the channel, you can head over and to fishofhex.com. Use the code SAVE10 at checkout for 10% off. And that code is good for the next couple hours. It'll be done at midnight Eastern Standard Time. And then the sale's going to go on for a little while now, probably until I can make some room, because there's a lot of coral I got to get rid of. So the sale will be going on. So no rush if you can't get there now. It will be up for a couple weeks at least. So that's about it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Any questions, feel free to put it in the comment section once it finally uploads, and I'll try to get to those. All right. Peace.